Hello everyone, it's Julie from Camelia Crafts Designs. Welcome and welcome back. I'm here today with these cute little notebooks. They are in a matchbook pocket style, but they're shaped to look like tags and they have little notebooks inside. Yeah, I've just put the 6 pieces of sketch paper, cartridge paper, whatever you want to call it, in there. It's quite a thick one, this, that's why I stuck to 6. Had I been using sateen dyed or something thinner, I'd have probably gone for 10 sheets. So I've made them in 2 slightly different styles. I like them both. I think that's my favourite though, because I just love this look of the eyelets. Yeah, I've decorated them with book pages, and yeah, I'll show you how I made them. So, put those to one side. I've got some paper from... I use these sketchbooks. They're £1 each from Hobbycraft. I think quite inexpensive for the quality of paper you get. You don't have to use that. Like I say, use any paper you want. That's just what I'm using. And I'm going to let the size of this dictate the size of my tag as well. I think, is this 5 3/4? I seem to remember. I was going to write it down, but I thought, no, you'll remember it. Just short of 5 3/4. The whole tag, I think, did it end up about 6.5? Yeah, 7 inches high by 3 inches wide, which is a good size for a little notebook. So, the actual tag itself is made from one of these. These are the file folders I use a lot of. These are the ones with tabs on. They seem a slightly darker craft colour this time, which I like. They are on my Amazon favourites if you're looking for any. I just find it cheaper than buying the cardstock. This was something like £6. You get 100 folders, which is 200 sheets of card, bigger than A4. You can't go wrong for that. I've just bought 50 sheets of craft card and it cost me £5. So yeah, you get 200 sheets for not much more. It's a no-brainer really, isn't it? Right, let me show you what I did. I cut this into strips that are 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that straight away. I'm going to have to bring big chompy chopper out. Sorry and all that. But I'll cut my first one at 6 because we all know that half of 6 is 3. It just makes my life a bit easier. I know I've not got this all on desk, but I think you all know how to cut a piece of paper. You don't need to see that visual, do you, really? She says. I'm going to leave that because that is going to be perfect for another project. Can you tell what it's going to be? It's going to be some kind of flippy file folder. Right, so put you away. The next oversized piece of equipment I'm going to drag out is my scoreboard. You can see it top, that's all you need to see. There you go. So, I've already said these tags are 7 inches long. So what I'm doing is I'm making that body of the tag now. So if you look on the file folder, if you're using these, they've got like creases. I like the look of that. And especially on this one where you have to bend it, that crease is already there perfectly for you to bend that up. So this needs to be 7 inches long. If you're going to use longer paper, just adjust the length accordingly. You could make it shorter. Yeah, I think mine ended up being, did I make it about 1.5 inches longer than my paper? No, it's 1.25 inches longer than my paper, so do that and work from there. So put that back together. So I'm going to score this at, I'm scoring both sides. One's going to get cut off anyway, but it's the best way to score it. Score it at 7 inches. Yeah. So it's the back one that we want to fold up. So then I'll crease that with my bone folder just so I can see the score better. Do I have a bone folder? Bone folder. I wish I were Mary Poppins. You know, you just ask for it and it jumps into your hand. Me being Mary Poppins would be ideal at this moment in time. I've used my bone folder not 10 minutes ago. Where is it? I haven't a Scooby-Doo. Not a clue. I have 3 bone folders. So I will get a spare one out. Oh, that were a bit of a reach, that one. Stop flapping. So that's scored now. That's the back of your tag, yeah? So the front now wants cutting down. And also that one's cutting down, yeah? Two lots of cutting. Let's get the little... No, get big one out because you've got to measure, aren't you, woman? You've got to measure. Can you see? Yeah, you can see top half. I'm sat 6 foot back, but I'm all right. Don't worry about me. Now I'm going to cut that off to... I want that 1 inch long. I just think that works. So line your crease up with the inch mark and chop it off. Did that even chop straight? This trimmer is chopping so wonky sometimes lately. I don't know what's occurring with it. That is about as straight as a not straight line. That was terrible. So mine's a smidgen less than 1 inch, but you don't have to be precise with this. Now the front flap wants to tuck in there, but not go all the way down to the bottom. Yeah? So I'm going to leave that 3/4 of an inch shorter than the whole tag. So I'm going to cut the front down to 6 1/4 inches. So ooh, I have to guess a quarter on this. Right, cut straight this time. I don't know what's up with this trimmer lately. I think it's operator error, but then I don't know what I'm doing wrong that I've never done wrong before. Right, so can you see now? That's the front flap. It will tuck in there nicely. And that's the back. So while I'm here, I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. Maybe if I chop this down to 8, because I know bottom flap's going to be 1 inch, yeah? Now I'll chop this one down to 6 1/4. So cut your back one down to 8, your front one to 6 1/4. Maybe that were a better way of showing you. I don't know. Then I'm going to score 1 inch from that bottom on the back. Maybe that, yeah, I've just discovered an easy way of doing it. Do your cutting before you do your scoring. Makes life much easier. So we cut the back flap down to 8 inches. We cut the front flap down to 6 3/4. And then we score 1 inch up from the bottom of the back flap, which makes it 7 inches. You score at. Yeah. It works both ways. Sometimes I like to make my life difficult by going around houses, but I did only just work this out today. Right, I'm going to get my corner chomper because I like round corners on these. I just do. We'll do 1/4 inch. So that's the flap, and I'm going to do 1/4 inch one on there. We'll do both at the same time again because it's like a mini mass make. You can call 2 a mass make. Oh. Mass make. I've got twins. They called it a multiple birth. So by my reckoning, you could call it a mass birth. No. A mass birth of children too. Yeah, I'm exaggerating there a bit, aren't I, calling it a mass make. So we now have our outers. Remember, because I were daft and didn't get that straight, that's a little bit smaller than the 1 inch I've said, but it still works. It's still going to work just by skin of his teeth. That one's going to work. Right, now we're going to start to make some tag shapes on it. I've got my trusty Works Together card, rewards card that I don't use anymore, and I'm going to make the corners. Now I'm doing this with my craft knife. Reason being, I want the same corners on my paper, and I need to do that with a craft knife. So I've been practicing with my craft knife. I'm not quite as dangerous as I used to be. Got plasters on standby, but not the paramedics. So if you're not familiar with this method of cutting a tag, so both sides match, you just cut your required angle off something, plastic. I always use an old card. And then you line it up on one side and cut, and on the other side and cut. I know I could have done this one with scissors, but I'm in practice and training, ready for cutting papers. Oh, look, it slipped. Silly woman. I've thought about putting some of that, you know, oh, some glue that's not mega sticky, but is sticky. You know, that removable glue stuff. Put a bit on card, just so it'll grip. But then I'd probably peel it off, forgetting why it was there. Right, let's cut this one. I cut the first one much easier when I weren't actually talking as much, didn't I? There was no loss of life, no loss of limb. I'm a bit tentative about pressing too hard, because that's the fault I used to have with using a craft knife. I pressed too hard, I'd cut the thing I was cutting round, it'd skate off and it'd head for my fingers going yummy yummy. Right, that's them two. Right, bring back in the paper. So I'm going to make my little booklets out of this. So we know that's 3 inches wide. I've made this, did I make it a quarter of an inch smaller or an eighth? I can't remember. Maybe a quarter, maybe an eighth. If we measure it, we'll have a clue. So I made it, oh, just an eighth smaller, yeah. So it's 2 3/8. So I want to cut this down to 2 3/8. Get your T-ruler back out. So no fancy rotary trimmers needed, she says, till her fingers go. Just put a few pencil marks down. Love these T-rulers. Couldn't live without one. And I'm not joking. I just daren't cut up against one because I just would cut through it. I'm very tempted to buy one in metal, to be quite honest. I think that would be ideal for me. Right, I'm going to bring this safety ruler in now to make sure I don't lose any fingers. So you can see, there's lots of marks up here with craft knives. Cut up at ruler. For some reason, I find it easy to cut on this side. So I'm just going to line the marks up with my ruler. Use marks on my cutting mat as a double check. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to cut, not too firm, not too gentle, you'll never get there. Just going to keep going until I've gone through all 6 pieces of paper. There we go. So now I've got my little notebook. We know we want 2, so we may as well do it. This time I'm not going to bother measuring with ruler. I'm just going to measure from that notebook. Put a few pencil marks on. I mean, you could make these slightly narrower and get 3 out of this, but I'll just make a whole tag that's slightly narrower from what's left, should I say, after what's left. It's another one, what would I say if I could talk days, isn't it? Just keep going. It's took me a lot of years to get confident with using a craft knife, though, I've got to say. A lot of years. So, there we have it. I'm just going to come in with my rubber and take those pencil marks off. There we go. Like I said, that'll make a nice cute little skinny one. So I'll take the pencil marks off that ready. Then I won't start a project and be like, ooh, where did they come from? So now I'm going to do the corners on one of them. So I'm going to bring my card back in. I'm going to do them at exactly the same angle as the notebook, as the cover, sorry. This, if you could call it a signature, really. It is. I always do that to line this up. And then I pick it up and it's not lined up. Yeah, this signature block is slightly narrower than the cover. So I'll do the same angle and it will give us the same angle we've got on our tag. But it will be tucked in just a little bit so that you won't see the notebook from the outside. So that's one. Turn it over. I feel like it's taking me a long time to explain things today. I don't know if that's right. Maybe. We have days like that. Oh, see, that went horribly wrong. Well, it didn't. Card slipped, so stop exaggerating, woman. Put your card back on and crack on again. So I apologise for saying that went horribly wrong when it didn't. I think what I've done is I've cut slightly into my card. But like I said, that is my tendency. I have a tendency to be heavy-handed with a craft knife. I got there though, didn't I? Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Well, I think I got there, Gert. I'm not right interested what you think, to be quite honest. Can you make a tag? No, you can't. She loves to chime in. Right, this next one, I'm going to take a sliver off the top. Reason being, I'm going to pretend that I didn't have pieces of paper that were joined at top. And rather than go and find 6 pieces of paper and cut them to the right size, I'm going to cheat and just take top off them. And say, oh look, these are 6 pieces of paper that are not joined at the top. We'll do it just the same. I'm a bit iffy now about that. It's a bit, I've cut into it, but I'm going to persevere slightly. I'm just going to do the cutting without talking. I'm going to cut in silence. I think I've got too much blade out. So here we go, silence. It's not working, is it? I need to cut another corner and it needs to be exactly the same. So I'm going to use what I've already cut. I'm going to put my credit card on. And I'm going to cut the corner off with my scissors. And this time I'm not going to be so heavy-handed with my knife. Because that's what I did. Once I cut into the plastic, I'd had it. Right. So, don't be too heavy-handed, be quiet, stop talking. Things always go wrong when you talk too much. I still can't stop talking. And do you know, I was not that kid at school. There was always that one kid who just would not shut up. It wasn't me. That might shock some people. At school, I was a quiet little mouse. I became that kid who would never shut up as I got older. But I didn't start off like that. Oh, I liked it at home. Never shut up. More rattled than a can of mabs, as my mum often said. Can of marbles. Right, so we finally got that done. Even with my poor attempts with a craft knife and plastic card. But if I can do it, anyone can. With that, because I'm not the best. Right, so let's show you the 2 ways we're going to fasten these in. First way, move the most simple way. So that's going to go in there. I'm going to open it up, and you've seen it, you know it. It's not, you don't need a tutorial for this one. And you don't even need to use string. You could use, let's ink that before we tie string on, because it's going to be a bit difficult after, isn't it? You could sew it in, actually. I don't know whether this card would be robust enough to sew it, but certainly if you were using a thicker card, you could sew that part in. Like a pamphlet stitch, well, just 2 would do it. You could staple it, you could sew it on your sewing machine. This is just the way I've chosen to do it today. I like the look of this. It's very rustic. It's in keeping with things I'm making at the minute. I'm loving using my botanical pages from different books and this craft. I seem to go from one extreme to other. It's either that or I'm using really bright colours. And yeah, when I've got enough bits and bobs together, I'll make them into a journal. So that's that tied. That's that. Before I show you how to go on with that, we're going to glue these bottoms. I'm going to use art glitter just because it'll dry quicker. On my pre-made ones, I've just used my bog standard tacky glue, but it does take longer to dry. So I'm just going to, about 1/8 of an inch, at the bottom. You can use staples for this, whatever you like. I don't always like the look of the staples at back, so I've used tacky glue. So just fold that up. Yeah, get my bone folds and recrease that. Bit of glue might squidge. If it does, just wipe it off. If it does squidge like that, turn your bone folder over for going to the other end. You can tell this is my glue mat, can't you? Right, I'm going to leave that one to set now, and might as well do this one before we put the pages in, aren't we? Then it can be drying. Haha, I will remember to ink that. Yeah, I think it's a bit do as I say and not do as I do, this tutorial today, isn't it? Looking at crows outside, rooks, whatever they are. The blackbird's big with black beaks. Terrible with birds as well. I can tell the difference between a parrot and a sparrow, that's about it. I do know about half a dozen birds. I make it my business to find out the birds that come around here, but we do have crows and we do have rooks. I just don't know which is which. Right, so that's that stuck. Right, now for this, we're going to pop that in there and we're going to punch holes. So I'm going to line my pages at where they want to be, down from the top a smidgen, just so it will close nicely. If we put that right up to the crease, look, that's not going to want to close. So just bring it down. When you're happy with it, I just grabbed a couple of my plastic clips. If you're really good at holding it while punching holes in top, don't use plastic clips. Use metal clips, use paper clips, use whatever holds it for you to do the punching, yeah? I'm not too worried about that shape at the top not being perfect. I think that's down to my dodgy craft knife skills, isn't it? Now I'm going to grab my crocodile. If you don't have a crocodile, use whatever hole punch you use. Now I've already set mine to the depth I want when I made the first ones. I want the holes to come down here, but not as far down as that crease, because that's going to be where we bend the tag up. Yeah, and I'm going to measure how far in. I've just took note where that plastic slider comes to, and I've put it to the end of the tag. So I've set that for my depth. And then to get the other one the same, I'm going to turn my tag over. We know depth is fine. I'm going to put that plastic slider there again. And that's how I decided where to punch my holes. Right. I now need a couple of eyelets. I'm just putting eyelets in the front so that your page will then turn. You could put them all the way through if you wanted to. Depends if you're ever going to want to change paper, doesn't it, really? But I just think it's nice to keep your options open. If you're not sure if you want to do something, keep that option there. Yeah, if you're not sure if you want to marry the millionaire, don't dump him. I couldn't resist that one. No, I don't mean in that way. Yeah. Ooh. Sometimes they go slightly wonky, these. You can feel them go when you're squeezing them. But I'm still happy with that one. Still nice and neat. I can live with it. So I'm going to thread my string through before I take my clips off. So in at the front, back out at the back. You can put paper reinforcement rings, anything else you want on the back if you want to. I don't feel it's necessary on this one today. I'm going to cut some twine off, make my life easy. If I were having a thinking day, not a dancing day, I'd probably just leave it on and cut it off so I don't waste so much, but I think it's quite clear by this point today is a dancing day. snip them to your required length. And there we have the little notebook. Yeah, all that's left to do is ink it and pop your picture on. So I've grabbed a couple more book pages. Oh, she's very chatty today, that one, isn't she? Yeah. Do you want to know what I thought? No, I won't, because it'll set everyone else's off if I say it. Right. I have these book pages. I don't know what book these book pages are from. Hawks, Moths and Others. It's something to do with moths, this, isn't it? Now I have a butterfly book. It's not from that though. The butterfly book I've got, there's no background. So these must have come in a Happy Mail or in a pack I've bought. So if anybody knows what this book is, I'd love to know so I can buy it again. It's so pretty. So yeah. Butterflies, coppers and hair streaks. Yeah, it's obviously a book about butterflies and moths, but I don't know which one. It's not the one I've got. Right, I'm going to use this page. Yeah. Now, I decided last time I needed to cut a piece. 3 wide, so it's 2 3/4 inches wide. I want to cut it. So, I'm looking at that. I could get my light box out and do it perfect, but just got my ruler and I'm looking. I could get that bit on. That would look absolutely fabulous. And then that one. Yeah. So it wants to be 2 3/4 inches wide. Let's check how deep I wanted it. I'll just measure it on these in case they're different to others. I didn't put it all the way to the bottom. I just put it slightly above there. Where have I put the actual books I made? I've lost them again. I've lost them. How on earth have I lost them? I'll address that one later. So I'm going to 4 3/4. So it's 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. I seem to remember that. I'm going to get my little baby trimmer out to cut that one. Where are you, baby? Oh, it's there. It's on the desk. Woohoo! It nearly jumped up and bit me, didn't it? So I'm going to cut the bottom of this off that I don't want. So that's about there. Then I want to make this 4 3/4 high. So I'll turn it that way. Now I'll cut this edge off that I know I'm not going to want first. That's that gone. Then I'm left with just the one sheet I'm using. So it wants to be 4 3/4 inches high. Let's hope this looks good. That's going to be absolutely perfect, isn't it? Would it be better if I didn't cut that off? I don't know. I just feel awful chopping through a butterfly's head. Put it there. I didn't want to chop through him and him. I really didn't. So we'll chop. We're going to lose some at bottom, aren't we? I can live with losing some at bottom, I think. So chop 4 3/4, and then we want 2 that are 2 3/4 wide each. That is going to be. I'm going to come in a bit further than that, I think, and then trim a bit more off that edge. Not too much because I don't want to lose that wing. I'm still going to have to trim more off this side. We're going to have to cut through him. We can't avoid it. There you go. So I'm happy with that piece I got. Can you see why I get my light box out when I'm mass making? I'm very faffy. I need to cut a bit of that edge off. I really do. That's better. Then we'll cut this to 2 3/4. And I think that will be spot on. Oh yeah, I like that. That will make something else. They will go in the cardboard bin. And I'm just going to ink around the edges of these. So yeah, they're nearly done. I'm liking this less is more style at the minute. making the most of the books and the book pages. I'm pretty happy with how many people enjoyed my last video. I have to be completely honest with you. I thought maybe it wasn't a very complicated one. I wasn't sure how many people would actually like it, but the response to it was absolutely wonderful. So thank you very much, everyone. Right, that's those inked. I'm going to have a quick ink round the front of the tag because it just won't look right unless it's inked. I'm using my Walnut Distress Oxide again because it's my fave to use on craft. I'm not going to go and ink all the inside and the back. I'll do that afterwards. So that's that one. Yeah, it just ended up being long enough that, you know, after I had to straighten it off a bit. Oh, hey ho. Hey ho, it just works. What I will do on that, I will put a ticket on that sticks up a little bit, just to make sure that doesn't pop out when we don't want it to pop out. I mean, there's lots of ways you could make these, really, isn't there? Like I said, these are just the way I've chosen to make mine today, and I think they're pretty cute. They'd make a lovely little happy mail, wouldn't they, on their own? I did forget to ink that, so I'm just going to grab, oh, that's a ticket. I'll use back a ticket, it don't matter. Just stick some in there just while I get these edges. I remembered on the other one, forgot on this one. So even if you do forget to ink, it's not the end of the world. There are things you can do. So I'm going to pop this on now. I've been practicing with my crafters comp. Look at that. Look at that. It's got... I've lost my lid. Of course I've lost my lid. Why on earth would I know where the lid is? But as I said, I've been practicing with it. I'm just going to run that off on a bit of card because we don't want bits of cotton in it. There we go. I've been practicing getting it on the edge so that when I mat things, I don't have to use extra glue. And I'm getting there, but I'm not perfect yet. I've ordered a multi-pack of these now. I love it so much. And I've been using this for quite a while. Stuck it to the wrong thing. I've just nearly ruined the old project. That's how sticky that stuff is. Don't let it get away from you. So if you were wondering how permanent this is, I think you just saw. It took the back off of that rather than come off when I got it stuck to it. Silly woman. Oh, not too bad. I'm just going to put a teeny tiny bit of art glitter around the very edges just to make sure it's stuck down. The downside with this glue is you've really got to be humpball with your placement. This should be a test for me. Because I don't have to get the width at the top and bottom perfect. As long as I get the sides done, I'm an happy bunny. And until you press it, you can have a smidgen of wiggle room. Is that it? I think that's okay. Blind man, that's not as straight as I thought it were, but I can live with it. There we go. Then that will tuck in there. And we have a notebook. I think we have performed today. I've done exceptionally well to even make that. I made the others earlier on in the day. And then I really shouldn't have had a rest, should I? Because it did not do me any good. Came back a bit scatterbrained. Hey, that'd be a new good name to change my channel to, Scatterbrain Crafter. If I can do it, you can do it. Whee. Oh. Look at me, I've gone quiet. That really doesn't happen very often. Get a little bit of art glitter on the edge. just because I want those corners down properly. I'm going to try and stick this one right way up, see if I have better luck than when I'd put it sideways. Because that really didn't help much, did it? That's better. That's even straighter. You did well on that one, missus. So there we have it, 2 notebooks. I'm just going to pop a couple of labels on. Oh, I like this one. The thing of treating people right is the greatest trade builder on earth. That is so true. Right, I don't want it square because I don't want it square for no other reason than I don't want it square. So I'm just cutting around the last line to turn it into that shape, whatever it is. A rectangle with cut corners. Sometimes I like to leave those on, sometimes I don't. That's why I initially cut them out with it on. It depends on my mood. Right, I'm going to put this one down again with the art glitter. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that in there, and I'm going to grab a piece of this label backing. Just a small piece, I don't need a huge piece. And I'm going to pop that there, yeah? Just so that if I get glue too far up on this label, it's not going to stick to the front. But also it's see-through, so I know how far up to put my label so it doesn't interfere with my tag, yeah? If you get that. And yes, as you've seen, I'm doing this slightly different because I've made a boo-boo cutting it wonky. I've just decided I'll put my glue there. So I put some along the bottom at tag and there. And this should. I don't want it really far up. Just hanging off a little bit. Yeah. I've got none on there, so I know that's it. I quite like how that's come out. And then this one, I think I'll just put a tag on, a tab, sorry, or even a label, pretty similarly to my other two, wherever on earth they have gone. They're somewhere within reach, they've got to be, because they just have to be. Right, let's find... I've been saying this now for about 3 months. I must get some more tags. Attention, I don't know what that says. Sometimes that's a good thing. I've had bosses like that in the past. Don't know what they said. Oh, I am my own boss now. So yeah, it still applies. Don't know what I said. And yeah, we're not liking square labels today. We're finding the edges of square labels pretty offensive. Just like the square edges on tags. Right. Bitter ink just to get rid of the cut white edges. And I'm going to stick this one on with art glitter. But as you've seen, this has been made for the last 5 minutes. We've just had a bit of a 5-minute faff. I like that. So there we have 2 more little, yeah, tag notebooks. I really hope you enjoyed them. And yeah, you'll see the other 2 again in the thumbnail. Because for now I haven't got a clue where I've put them. So thank you very much for joining me. And I will see you next time with a brain. Thank you very much. Bye.